Listen up, pros and broettes. Hit that subscribe button before you click off this video. Lots of cool stuff to check out on this channel. Make sure you ring that bell. Every time you ring the bell, a vegan cries. Let's do this.
Come on, Mommy, stop laughing. We're doing a Brodown.
So Vivek Ramaswamy, say that 5 times fast, has been a very polarizing character in this whole presidential race.
In the middle of this national identity crisis, Tucker, where we have celebrated our diversity and our differences for so long that we forgot all of the ways we're really just the same as Americans, bound by a common set of ideals that set this nation into motion 250 years ago. And that's why I'm proud to say tonight that I am running for United States president. The reality is we've created such a racialized culture in this country. Is government intervention to create special privileges? It's the same message as when we say we are equal because we are made in the image of God. That is a statement of ideals for a free people. We as human beings are born free. We were made to be free, okay?
We like him.
We do.
He tells the truth, and even if he's not telling the truth, he answers the question. So I've enjoyed him. And I really hope that at some point he runs to be part of Trump's campaign. Because I would love to see him be an understudy to Trump. Plus, I think Trump can point him in a direction and say, hey, go fix that while I work on all this world peace crap, because we've got such a mess that I've literally got 3 different countries I've got to talk to just to keep us out of World War III. Now, all this is in the event that Donald Trump becomes the next president of the United States, which, based on every other person running for office, is absolutely the best case scenario.
Yep.
And one of the reasons why I believe that is something I've believed for many decades now, that a lot of you are starting to realize, and I hope you have realized, is these politicians are bought and paid for. All their interests lie in is their super PACs and who their donators are. So they don't work for us, they work for the people that donate to their campaign. So just because you like the way they talk, when they get in office, much like what we dealt with today, they can't even decide on a Speaker of the House. The Republican Party is pretty much dead. It's got a ventilator and it's on life support.
It's been so divided that it's not even a party anymore.
Well, something's got to happen soon or it's just going to implode. Now, as much as I'm not a fan of the Democrats, I got to give them credit. They stick together.
They do.
No matter how ridiculous some of the things they come up with, absolutely indefensible views that they have, all they'll do is slander the person asking the question and call them names and never actually answer the question. But they all do it. That's something the Republicans could take a lesson from, is if you're going to go in and try to win,
You got to link arms.
you have to be,
together.
you got to be united. And right now the Republican Party is not united. I see every reason why McCarthy should have been removed as Speaker.
Yep.
He was doing backdoor deals behind the backs of his constituents that he works with. And to me, that's inexcusable and very much a reason to remove him. We got exactly what Matt Gaetz thought we were going to get, and that is why he raised a vote to get him removed.
I still think he should have stepped up and ran. Even if he didn't get the votes and Jim Jordan still would have been the nominee or whatever, that would have shown at least the people who really enjoy Matt Gaetz, like, okay, well, he's already pushed this one guy out. He's stepped up and started doing stuff, and it just kind of is a step further. My opinion, of course.
But he wasn't nominated. All the Republicans that voted against Jim Jordan in today's fiasco, if I was in their state, he would not get my vote. None of them. Not a single one would be reelected by me. And the Republicans in those states need to band together and do something the party can't seem to do, and all say, let's just get rid of these bureaucrats that are all in the pocket of, you name it. I mean, Big Pharma,
Yeah.
Lockheed Martin, BlackRock. I would love to see them wear NASCAR patches to show who's supporting their campaign, so when they walk up to the podium and address the people, we could easily see whose pockets they're taking from. But we'll never get to know that. So we just have to deal with what we've got currently. And right now we've got a race for president, and Vivek Ramaswamy doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning, but he is by far the best candidate the Republicans have put out there, with the exception of Donald Trump. Because at least with those two, I know where they stand. And if one of them gets in office and they don't do what they say, then I'll say shame on me. But I don't know where any of the other candidates stand. They're all just talking political talking points, and they're not doing like Ramaswamy, who's funding his own campaign and going on every podcast, every YouTube channel he can find, anybody he can get in front of, from Russell Brand to Ben Shapiro
To the Courier family.
yeah, he's at the border with the Cartier family. I mean, the guy is getting around, and that's what you want in a leader. But Republicans are doing everything they can to make him out to be the worst possible candidate ever. And that goes for Sean Hannity, who I've never been a fan of. He stands by the principles of who pays his money.
I thought Sean Hannity was the OG Tucker Carlson.
He is. He's just nowhere near as good. But he had Ramaswamy on his show and did everything he could to make Ramaswamy look bad. I figured, why not go to the king to find out what really happened? So the beard shows up. We get Matt Walsh.
Let's do this.
And Vivek Ramaswamy had an interesting debate last night. Ramaswamy is getting some heat from some on the right, as I mentioned, because of his stance on the Israel situation. But his stance, to me, is totally reasonable. He condemned the attacks. I haven't listened to every single thing he said about it. So if he said something horrible or delusional or deranged about the situation in Israel, I haven't heard it. All I've heard him say is to condemn the attacks, say that Israel has every right to defend itself, but he wants to avoid World War III, and he doesn't want America to needlessly get involved and potentially make the situation worse and bring in other world powers, and then you have World War III, which is also my stance.
Precisely.
Happens to be correct, I think. But even if you disagree
You're
with
right,
it for some
it is.
reason, I mean, even if you think that America should put boots on the ground, even if you are with Lindsey Graham, let's go bomb Iran, you should still admit that the Ramaswamy approach, the non-intervention approach, it's at least reasonable and rational and worth taking into consideration. It's not a crazy point of view.
Exactly.
Yet some Republicans are quite mad at him, including Sean Hannity. And I want you to listen to a little bit of this exchange between Hannity and Ramaswamy. Listen.
Needs to be a party where if your campaign is principally being run by super PACs, people who can give unlimited amounts of money to your campaign, I don't think that befits the Republican Party. I think we need to be better than that. So, Sean, you and I may have a different view on that. But my view is, if you're making money off your time in government, then I don't think you're fit to be president of the United States.
Well,
more importantly, though, what's our policy? Stand with our allies while avoiding World War III, and that's where I'm at.
Is he
A lot of
wrong?
people don't think you're qualified because you weren't even a Republican or voting Republican until what, 2020?
Well, Sean, I
When did
think
you
that
first
it
vote?
depends on
Donald
what
Trump
your
was a
objectives are.
lifetime Democrat.
I voted Libertarian in my first election. I voted Republican in 2020. You're right. I'm not a partisan hack. I come in from the
I'll
outside.
forgive you for your
I'm an
screw-up.
independent-minded patriot who speaks the
It sounds
truth.
to me like you just want to jump from the private sector yourself, where you made a lot of money. By the way, I applaud capitalism. I applaud successful people.
Sean, I applaud you for being so transparent about your
I actually think that people
objectives.
work in the defense of our country, in the defense industry,
like
are
Ramaswamy.
playing a vital role for the cause of freedom. So I don't really call it a corrupting influence or suggest that somehow that's
How's
a
it
corrupting
freedom?
influence. I actually like the experience
one
that
of the
goes
things
along
Send
that
with
our
what you do
people
is
to
actually
die
defense
for another
contractors.
country.
But I've got to listen.
One of the things I loved about that interview with Tucker, was we were actually able to have a thoughtful conversation and go deep into
praise
issues
Tucker all you want. I
rather than
like
this
Tucker.
kind of
Great interview, by the way.
political gotcha.
The point is this:
Good. Yeah, so people should watch the
you
actual
go
interview for
on
what I
these
actually said.
interviews. Yeah, I have nothing but nice things to say. But here's your problem:
People should
you
watch
go
it.
on these shows, people quote your exact words, and you deny your own words. And
All right,
I'm
we can
saying,
pause it. I do love the fact that Vivek brought up this interview with Tucker Carlson. That was great. And forcing, I think that's
funny.
that's got to be the first time since Tucker left that anyone at Fox has even said his name, that anyone has openly acknowledged his existence and said his name. And it's great that the person who says his name is Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity, who pretends to like Tucker Carlson, but I think we all, I mean, you could tell when Tucker was there, just the handoff between the two. Sean Hannity could barely contain his disgust with Tucker Carlson. But putting that aside, I will say on Sean Hannity's part that, you know, it takes a lot of courage. I think we should applaud his courage and his boldness to speak up for the, for marginalized communities, to speak up for people who are really victims, the powerless in our world. And in this case, he's speaking up for defense contractors and career politicians.
Mm-hmm.
I applaud defense contractors. They defend freedom. Here's what I love about Sean Hannity, and I use the word love, and I mean the opposite of it. But he's just been saying the exact same thing since like 2002. But it's not the kind of consistency that you applaud. Okay, it's not the kind of consistency where you say, well, he's stuck by his principles. No, it's just basic, early 2000s neocon establishment Republican talking points. And he just sticks to, no matter what happens, he sticks to them. They don't change. And it's only ever talking points. Have you ever in your life, this is a serious, I mean this is a sincere question. Sean Hannity has been on air for, 25 years. Have you ever heard him offer anything approaching an actual insight? Have you ever heard him say anything even remotely interesting? Have you ever heard him offer something that sounds like an actual thought and isn't just talking points that he printed out from the RNC? Have you ever heard that? Have you ever thought to one time, in 25 years, have you ever thought to yourself, wow,
I'd have to think about it.
Point. Have you ever said to someone else or heard them say to you,
I've never said
Hannity
that.
had a great insight the other night. It was, and then have you ever heard that? Never. It's it's an amazing, again, consistency. Not a consistency that we applaud, not the kind of consistency we applaud, but it's still an amazing consistency that he's been talking for 25 years and has never said one interesting thing. You would think that in 25 years of talking, you would accidentally say a few interesting things, and he never has. Every Halloween you hear about the dangers in the candy that your kids will get, which is why if you're a loving father like myself, you eat half of the
Walsh
candy
commercials.
so that you can mitigate those dangers to your child. But this year, the real tricks are in the meat aisle. Good Ranchers wants to take the trick out of your meat, and they're throwing in a treat for my listeners.
How can you
for
roll
$30 off your order with
a
promo code
steak
Walsh
company
at goodranchers.com.
into a Halloween ad?
Lab-grown meat is growing
That
more and
takes
more
skill.
popular. Foreign meat can be labeled as a product of the United States, and the mRNA vaccine development is on the rise for agriculture. What's in your meat is even more in question than ever before. Amidst these haunting truths, the
What's
real
in your
hero
meat?
arises Good Ranchers.
Name
The
of the
number one
sex
place to
tape.
get America's best pork, beef,
Hashtag
chicken, and
it.
seafood is with Good Ranchers, and they deliver it right to your door. Their products are transparently sourced, all American, and delicious. When you shop at goodranchers.com, you don't have to question what's in your meat or where your
I
meat
miss
is
the
coming from.
dog
You already know
commercials.
They have a 100% American
Yeah, I hear
guarantee
them all the
and
time.
a transparent vaccination policy.
Because his dog was
Take the
so
mystery
sad
out
and
of the meat
lonely and
aisle.
looked
Visit
terrible until he got
goodranchers.com and use my code Walsh to
greens,
get
whatever it is.
$30 off with free express shipping
now
on
he's
your
so
box of
happy.
America's best meat and seafood
Yeah,
today.
his
That's
coat
full
looks
of
better.
joy.
$30 off your box today at
You
Look
can
happy.
literally
goodranchers.com.
see
American
him
meat delivered.
smiling.
It is
he loves
very
dogs.
similar to,
Because
as
he
we've
loves
marveled
dogs.
before over someone like Trevor Noah, who was on air for he wasn't on air for as long as Sean Hannity, but still he was on air for 6 or 7 years in a comedy show. Never managed to say one funny thing, and that was also pretty impressive. So it's kind of a similar situation. So what do we hear from Hannity there? He's sticking up for defense contractors and career politicians, and he's also implying that Vivek is unqualified because he's coming from the private sector. God forbid he had a real job and he's been out in the private sector and he's had success there, and now he wants to, and
He hasn't leached
now
off
he's
the
entering
public his
politics.
whole life.
Right.
So he's getting attacked for that, and also for not voting Republican in the past. Which, who does that
They brought you
remind you
stellar
of?
models such as
Does that
John
remind you of a
McCain and Mitt
politician?
Romney.
A current politician who Sean Hannity has professed himself to be a big fan of and a big supporter of for years now, like Donald Trump.
Maybe Donald Trump.
Donald Trump got into politics. He was not a career politician. He came out of the private sector. He came from the private sector, right into running for president. Same thing for Ramaswamy. And he was voting not just libertarian, but voting Democrat.
His whole life.
Up until the few years before he ran for president. You don't hear Sean Hannity criticizing Trump for that, do you? But the real issue here, even putting all that aside, the real issue is like, what's the problem exactly with what Vivek has said about the situation in the Middle East? Is, again, unless he said something that I haven't heard, that's truly crazy. All I've heard from him is just, listen, what happened is terrible, condemn it, it's awful, it's evil, Israel has to defend itself. In the United States of America, we have to continue always to put our own security, put our own people first, always.
How dare he?
This is our country, and the people that run our country are supposed to be representing our people, and so we have to put our people first.
No.
And what that means is not that we don't care about what's happening to other people.
First.
Doesn't mean that we don't condemn evil when it occurs elsewhere in the world. It just means that we can't do something that's going to needlessly put our own people in harm's way or harm our country in some other way. That's it. Not only is that not controversial, but that is actually the baseline position that every American should have, and certainly every American politician should have. And that baseline position doesn't mean that we
should
never go to war under any circumstance. Like, I don't think anyone's saying that there's never been a justified war that America's been involved in. It's just a matter of what are our priorities. And are we going to be cautious and thoughtful, or are we going to be Lindsey Graham just running over there and bombing everybody?
Bomb
If
everybody.
you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.
Still not a subscriber to the Daily Wire, which might surprise some of you as much as I do enjoy Matt Walsh.
I was a subscriber for like 2 years, like 3 years ago.
It's hard to listen to Ben Shapiro, and not that he's not intelligent and bring up good points.
He just talks really fast.
Yeah, he's kind of annoying. And there's no better way to put it. He just
smart dude, but you know, you can only handle so much.
And when it comes to this, Hamas and Israel and all that, he's way too close to. So I've tried to listen to some of his stuff, and I mean, I get it. His opinions and the way he delivers them shows that, he's like a Dallas Cowboys fan that still has that VHS cassette from 1996 when they won that last Super Bowl, and every year it's going to be their year. And
I mean, but I get it though, because I mean,
he's Jewish.
People.
Yeah, he's Jewish.
He's Jewish. I mean, hits close to home.
It makes the commentary, it's very slighted. You don't see the nuance when it's something like that. And with Ben, I get it. I'm not downing Ben at all. I get his position. If I was that close to it, I would, let's just blow them up. Palestine needs to go. That's why I like what Ramaswamy was saying. I agree with you. I'm sick and tired of us sending our citizens. A citizen is someone who was born in this country or immigrated to this country the legal way and became nationalized as a citizen. When I say citizens, that is what I'm implying, not the general population that we're just overwhelming ourselves with. Why are we sending our citizens to other countries to die for their wars? We've done it for years, and the older you get, the more you realize how senseless that is. We did nothing in Iraq. We accomplished literally nothing except death. It's the same as it was when we left. Nothing's changed. You don't win wars in the Middle East. And Ramaswamy is like, look, Israel's got the best Air Force in the world. They're better than us. They've got an amazing Air Force. Well, their intelligence teams are top-notch as well. The fact that they allowed these Hamas to even get into Israel and commit these acts,
it's questionable.
Very surprising. I mean, I don't think they knew it was coming, because I don't think they would sacrifice their people. But then again, we have 9/11 here, and there's a lot of questions about that as to whether or not we'd be willing to do that. So it's hard to say for sure that wasn't the case, because their intelligence in Israel is top-notch.
It's debatable.
Matt Walsh, as always, is completely accurate on this. I said from the beginning, that I do like Ramaswamy, but I don't like Hannity. I just never cared for him. And Matt illustrated a lot of the reasons why I don't care for him. As much as Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo and all of them were just mouthpieces for the DNC, that's all Hannity is. There's no deviation from anything the DNC, and you're a journalist. Your job is to be impartial and see both sides and come to a conclusion, typically in the middle. We don't have journalism. And Hannity is not a journalist. He's a partisan hack for the Republican Party, and whatever they tell him to say is what he's going to say.
Yep.
Which is why I do have to turn to other outlets such as Tim Pool and places of that nature to get information that I'm not immediately being just hammered their point without just giving me the facts. Just give me the facts. And then you can tell me your opinion, but don't hammer it down from the second that I start watching the program. You know, tell me who, what, when, where, and why, and then I can judge it from there. I don't need to be waterboarded with your partisan nonsense. But that's where you guys come in. Get in the comments, let us know your thoughts on Ramaswamy, on the issues we have in Israel. Do you think that we should get involved? I think this is a fight that they can take on their own bully. Yeah, so if another country decides to invade us right now, we're gonna have to make sure that all those people from all those other countries know what pronouns to use when they assault our military. Because God forbid they misgender one of our soldiers on the battlefield. That just ain't gonna fly.
Nope.
So it is what it is. Like, share,
Subscribe.
do the thing.
Do the thing.
And until the next time, guys, as always,
Come at me, bro.
The Brodown is over. Let's bro out!